There's a mechanic that I argue should be in every game with dogs, cats, or any other furry, feathered, scaled friend. If there is a dog or a cat, we must be allowed to pet the puppy. But I have a background in social psychology, so I always want to know why we want and do the things that we do. I set out to find out if there's any scientific backing for my very unscientific opinion. Let's get into the science. Virtual animals have been present in so many video games at this point that it's impossible to list them all. Some are anthropomorphic, see Animal Crossing, and similar to humans. Some are cartoons that you might expect to see following a Disney princess through the woods. Still others are very seemingly real and often meet horrible fates reminiscent of the universal school-sanctioned childhood trauma of Old Yeller, or offer a lost pet grievance to help propel a playable character forward. And why are these tropes so thoroughly used in video games, and for that matter, media as a whole? Well, they work because with around 67% of US households playing host to some pet, the chances that many of us have experience with and empathy with the idea of interacting with animals is pretty high. There's been a lot of talk about the benefits of having a pet, whether that's your family mutt or a trained DSA. And I just want to say, I am clearly biased. I like cats. I also have a cat. Her name is Lola. She's an ex-feral and she's very, very judgy. There's a lot of research out there about humans and animals interacting in the real world, and a lot of it has a very distinctly positive slant, with many arguing that pets can provide benefits to people with mental illness, help teenagers with chronic illnesses with their illness self-management, and help children with autism and ADHD to develop social skills and reduce their stress while doing so. Employees of companies that allow pets in the workplace report that they think having their pets reduced their stress and improved their health as an employee and even benefited their organization. People can even attribute their physical health to their beloved pets, with several studies connecting pet ownership with reduced cardiovascular risk, which is an indicator for better health and longer life. One study cited by many publications that I found that college students who were allowed 10 minutes to play with and pet dogs and cats had lower levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It's the hormone that your body produces when you are under all the stress. Think finals week. Or, for instance, when you've just started playing Elden Ring, you don't really know what you're doing, you hit a guy with a bouquet because he called you maidenless and tarnished, and then all of a sudden, you end up in a fight you weren't ready for, where he proceeds to beat you to death numerous times with a bouquet of flowers 3 days before Valentine's Day. In a follow-up study to this, the same team looked at a more extensive program and ended up with results that indicated that interacting with animals helped increase executive function in students at risk of academic failure. There's even some evidence that suggests that animal-assisted therapy can be used to help those suffering from chronic pain or illness, and even help bolster the effectiveness of other therapies in people recovering from strokes. That is not to say that all the literature in this area is the be-all end-all, because to be honest, all literature is subject to potential risk of bias. Many studies in general suffer from an inability to be repeated with similar results, especially in psychology. This is known as the replication crisis, in which you just can't replicate the study, even if you did everything the way you knew someone else did. And there are articles that recognize potential risks to pet ownership, specifically possible transmission of zoonotic diseases or diseases that pass from animals to humans and back again, and cost of veterinary care. So we know there's probably something out there with people who interact with animals in the real world, but what about in our virtual worlds? Sure, it gives me true joy to pet some kind of virtual critter, as you can see here. I think I just adopted a cat. This is definitely how this works. Oh my god, they're all following me! But does it have the slightest little hint of an ability to replicate the magic that happens when animals and people interact in the real world? Well, maybe? Virtual pets are starting to appear in some health interventions, mostly aimed at children, from ones meant to increase kids' physical activity and get them to eat fruits and vegetables, to improving mirror neuron performance in kids with autism. All of these have some degree of promising results, but with such a small body of research and small numbers of people in each study, it's hard to make a wider scale generalization on whether folks' interactions with virtual animals have any of the same benefits that we see in real-world work on the subject. So now, I was really curious to see what research there was out there about animals in video games, and I was all ready to go down a rabbit hole trying to find it. But unfortunately, this is where my research ground to a halt. There just wasn't that much out there. A quick search of relevant academic articles turned up very little, with many of the articles being examinations of playing Animal Crossing during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, or of the ethics of hunting mechanics in large open-world RPGs. But no worries, right? There's a whole world that exists outside of the ivory towers of academia. People on the internet love sharing their opinions, even if it's hard to gather them in a way that would make sense in a scientific paper. You need only look at Twitter, specifically the Twitter account @CanYouPetTheDog. This page has been going strong since 2019 and has 532,000 followers on Twitter as of February 17th when I was doing this research. The creator has expressed that they feel that in an industry where living, never-ending games increasingly demand more and more of the player's time, energy, and focus, petting a dog can feel like a pressure release. There is not an equivalent Twitter page for the petting of cats, but it's still clear that enough gamers want to pet the kitties that it's a feature offered in several of the most popular games out there. Personally, I think this is exemplified in the upcoming indie game Mineko's Night Market, which I played the demo for, and the demo ended at the perfect time because I am hooked and I need to come back to pet more kitties and free them from whoever these agents are. But I couldn't really find any statistics about how many gamers out there do enjoy petting the puppy or the kitty. So I ran a super scientific poll on Twitter, noting that I was curious and asking if people are given the opportunity to pet a critter in a video game, what do they do? 96.9% of the 65 folks who responded to the survey said that they would indeed stop in a game to pet any kind of animal. 3.1%? I'm keeping an eye on you. 3.1% that said no. So it seems like anecdotal evidence is on my side here, right? Everybody likes petting animals in video games. Some folks even argue that it could have benefits, like the creator of Can You Pet the Dog, who feels that it provides you a little pause, a little break in the middle of your gaming that feels good. But the scientist in me always wants to see more than that. That just isn't where we're at now, though. Studies that utilize or examine video games are always difficult to find outside of the good old, are video games good or bad for you debate. And it would be difficult to reliably collect data on whether petting virtual animals in video games would have the same effect as doing so in real life. This is further complicated by the fact that if you are more of an animal lover in real life, you are also more likely to want to stop and pet the critters in the first place. And if you're an animal lover, the chances that you are part of that 67% of Americans that own some sort of pet, has some sort of pet in their home, are also probably a little higher. This is what in psychology we call a confounding variable. If you're getting the same result from petting your real life cat, then we will not be able to tell if in video games you're experiencing positive mental effects from being able to pet a virtual cat. So it may be impossible to truly collect info on this beyond what we know anecdotally. But does any of this matter? Do we need there to be a reason to pet the puppy? It's such a popular mechanic. The question seems to really become, why not let us pet? And who knows, if it does have some effect that we haven't figured out yet, given the real world research on human-animal interaction, I don't think it would hurt. So video game makers, I have a simple request of you moving forward. Let us pet. Thank you for coming to my talk. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for more. I have many more plans for this channel, and I'm planning to really delve into a couple of different little things across the board that focus on the intersection of psychology with gaming, with nerd stuff, with cosplay, and I will see you all soon. Mwah!